Have you ever felt stuck in a moment, unable to move forward or to let go? Like something deep inside of you is holding you back and you can't quite put your finger on it. This is what trauma does. It freezes us. What if things that are holding you back are not part of you, but things from your past? Trauma isn't just about what has happened to you. It's about what still lives inside of you, shaping your choices and limiting your potential. You might think that trauma is something that happens in extreme situations, but sometimes it can be little things that eat away at you every single day. By understanding how trauma freezes us and what it does to our body, this can help you to unlock your potential and be able to move forward. Hello and welcome back. I hope that you're all doing really well. So in today's video, we're going to be talking about how trauma freezes you and how it affects you possibly on a daily basis without you even knowing. So if you'll find yourself resonating with some of these points, it could be that you have experienced emotional trauma and it's still affecting you in some way. So let's talk about the fight, flight, or freeze. This is the body's way of responding to something that has happened, that perhaps maybe it's an emotional overload. And at that moment, this was the way that your body had responded to that certain situation or that experience. So it's a way that the body is able to protect itself, and it will either respond in either one of those three things. And usually what happens is when the brain is experiencing those three responses, the nervous system will become overloaded and it will not respond in a way that you possibly normally would. And what it does do is this leads to immobilization. So it freezes. And sometimes we don't realize that we're in this mode of functioning. When the brain experiences either those three responses, what happens is the nervous system becomes overloaded and it's unable to cope because the brain is experiencing fight, flight, or freeze. This causes immobilization, which basically impairs the response, the way that your body responds to this, because the brain is dealing with a potential stimuli, and then the body will react in that way. And so the nervous system also becomes immobilized, trapped in that moment. And so it responds in a way that kind of like desensitizes us. And then the body responds accordingly. This is where a lot of cortisol and adrenaline is produced within the body. It's a hormone that helps us to either fight, flight, or freeze. It's our response hormone. The thing is, when this is mixed together, this is called a toxic cocktail, and it causes our body to operate in a different way, which causes this immobilization within our nervous system. It impairs your responses. Trauma is then stored within the body. Our body remembers. And there's a brilliant book by Professor Van der Kolk, The Body Remembers. He talks about this, exactly that, how the body stores the trauma. We are able to move forward from it, but the thing is, the body does remember, for example, muscle memory, emotional memory. All of this is then come up whenever we are met with a similar situation. Our body and our mind remembers how we had responded to that particular stimuli, and then it will react accordingly again. It will repeat the same process. So this is why sometimes we might be experiencing hallucinations or flashbacks of a certain event or a certain thing that has happened. This is called emotional processing. So for example, you might be remembering that time when this happened with somebody, or you might be remembering this awful event that has happened, or what has someone said to you, and then it makes you recall all of those things. And it's almost as though you are reliving that moment, you are reliving that same experience all over again. And what happens is the same emotional responses come up. So it's like you're in that moment. This causes a disconnection from your present. You tend to be in your mind a lot more, you tend to overthink things, you tend to be in that memory, because it's something that hasn't been worked through, it hasn't been processed. And this is how the body is remembering that particular event. It could be a series of events, or it could be an episode in your life. This is why when we are traumatized, it does have adverse effects on our body. And this is so sad because being with a toxic person, being with a narcissist, this is exactly what happens. You remember what they have said. You remember how they have behaved towards you. And this is something that keeps replaying. For example, I know that a lot of my clients, when they are particularly ready then at that point to move forward, they are like, I can't trust anybody because I'm so scared. And the reason why is because that client or that person is remembering how they had been treated before by the toxic person, by the narcissist. It evokes certain emotions. And then they're reliving that particular moment, thinking that whenever they get into another relationship or when they are with someone, this is going to happen again and again to them. This also leads to emotional numbing. This is where you numb yourself. You desensitize to certain things because, again, it's too painful. Your body is overloaded. Your nervous system is overstimulated. And you numb in a bid to be able to protect yourself. This is part of the defense mechanism as well that is inbuilt within us. And it is a protective measure. But the problem with that is that you're never really living in the moment, in what's going on around you. You are always in your head, in your mind, thinking about what has happened, about that past event, about that past person. And what you're doing is you're reliving the past, bringing it into the moment, into the present moment. And then this causes a fear within you to re-experience that trauma. And you're scared that you're going to be met with that same situation because of your past experiences. You think that this is going to happen again and again. Without the right healing, without being able to process it, it can do. However, if you heal, you understand it, which is what I'm going to talk about later on in the video, you can move forward from this. When you're stuck in the fear of re-experiencing the trauma, you are frozen in that time. You are scared. You're reliving all of those emotions, and that exasperates the trigger memory. You end up shutting down and you don't want to be vulnerable with another person because you feel that you can't trust them, because you kind of think that everybody that you meet is going to be like that person. And the thing is, not everyone is like that. But in your mind, because of your experience, because of everything that you have been through over a longer period of time, it causes you to shut down, not feel, not be able to process, not be able to live. It's almost like you are stuck in a limbo. And the problem with that is it causes memory fragmentation. This is where your memories, your feelings, your emotions that attach to that memory become fragmented. There's big chunks of it missing because when you have emotionally shut down, this affects your memory. This affects the way that you function and process certain cognitive aspects, and you're not able to understand them. You're not able to process them. And this leads to a confusion and a frozen state. So again, you're frozen in time. You're not able to really understand. You're not really able to live in that moment. Can you see how trauma is affecting every part of your body, your mind, and your daily routine? This has cognitive effects because it impacts your perception. So the way that you view things, the way that you process, even things that are going on in front of you right now, you're more likely to also experience hallucinations, reliving that moment. But most importantly, you are going to be affected the way that you make decisions, the way that you live your life, because trauma has caused disturbances in your cognitive functioning, not only emotionally, but also cognitively. And this leads to the prospect of you being re-triggered and being stuck. Because when you're in that state, every smell, every little sound, everything that you see could cause a trigger because you're in that heightened state. You become hypervigilant because you're always looking for things in your environment that are going to cause you to be triggered. So then you remain stuck. You remain in that freeze response. So you're more likely to relive that traumatic event over and over again. Whilst I know that this is a really difficult state to be in, and it can be terribly frustrating, scary, and cause so much upset and pain for you. But the thing is, there is a way forward from this. This is all about calming your nervous system. If you're quite early on in your journey, if you are someone that has experienced this over a longer period of time, or you're right at the beginning, what I would say to you is this: your nervous system is overstimulated, so it needs calm, it needs safety. That's what will help to bring all of those heightened responses back to kind of like a plateau, back to a homeostasis. What you need to do is you need to surround yourself in things that calm you. For example, does that mean going for a walk? Does that mean surrounding yourself in nature? Does that mean going and being around people that make you feel safe, that make you feel happy? Sometimes, if you are further on in this journey, perhaps maybe even writing it down. Journaling can also really help. Also, routines. This is what I always talk about, my friends. Routines can also really help you. So having a morning routine and a nighttime routine that bookends your day. This helps to lower anxiety because you know what the next part is going to be. Because trauma, when you're in that state, causes you to dissociate, to desensitize from your reality and your daily functioning. What you need to do is enable you to be able to calm down, bring all your senses to a lowered state. Sometimes listening to music can also help as well. Certain frequencies in music help to keep you calm. Maybe even certain smells, certain incense can also help. This is all about sensory overload. So being able to provide something that is calming for your senses will really help to bring your nervous system to a safe space. These are just a few ideas that can really help you to move forward. Guys, thank you so much for watching, and I really hope that this video has helped you. Please do forward this to someone if you feel that they are going through this, but know that you can recover from trauma. Thank you for watching. Goodbye.